Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to solve the Busqueda machine. So first we will start with the Nmap for scanning. Nmap scan all TCP port and output is all ports and 10 dot. It is Nmap. So we can find the port 22 SSH and port 80 is open, so we can 280 and default script version detection. So we can find that port 22 is open, which is open SSH, port 80 is open, which is Apache web server. So I'm going to add the searchor.htb to etc host to make this resolvable. So searchor.htb. Perfect. So I'm going to run the Nmap scan again to get more results. So the result shows Apache and worktook and Python. So this tells us the request flow may look like browser and Apache on port 80 and then go to Python worktook application. So we can check what worktook means by worktook Python. So it says that worktook for tool is a comprehensive WSGI web application library. It began as a simple collection of various utilities for WSGI applications, so we can find that it looks related to like web application library, and this looks to be the why the frame Flask needs a WSGI worktook. So it looks related to Python framework like Flask and web application library, one of the. So before we move on to further, so when you go like uh so I like to run the gobuster command and subdomain enumeration, so such as like 10 user share discovery DNS subdomains top. I couldn't find any useful subdomain, and I can also check gobuster. Word list, set list, and discovery web content. Extensions are like this. dirty dress command.txt. So in the meantime, also run go buster, run this command again. But this time with the different dictionary. So we can find the search endpoint shows the HTTP status code 405, which is not allowed. So indicates that the server knows the request method, but the target resource doesn't support this method. Must generate an allow header in with a list of methods that the target resource. So we understand that the 405 could mean that the search endpoint is currently available. So I'd like to check the searchor.htb. So we can review search anything with Searchor. The capabilities range from social media to Q&A site and more. eBay and various. You can monitor all public social mentions and measure and track what people are saying about your company, and one easy to use dashboard. Visualize your overview of your online presence, which saves you time and boosts your tracking efforts. Simply selecting the engine I want to use. I like to use the Google. Type the query you want to be searched, and Google. Finally hit the search button to submit the query. So we can find that the query would look like this, and if we click auto redirect, it will redirect the Google result in Google search engine. And I like to inspect this at this stage. Before we move into further, I can duplicate and check the source. So so we can find that it looks using Flask, and the another one looks to be Searchor 2.0.4.0 powered by. So I like to check about this at this stage. Searchor vulnerability 2 point. So we can find something interesting here. It is arbitrary CMD injection, which it could lead us to remote code execution. So we can check about this vulnerability more. So it says that arbitrary code execution due to unsafe implementation of eval method. So and Searchor is a quick and easy search engine queries like we have done. So this look potentially we could use this. So I like to by the way, we can only find search and server status endpoint. So I like to git clone this, git clone cd exploit mode. It says point sh, please specify your IP address for attacker. So when I check this GitHub repository again, small example, so POC, I need to run the listener again. So I can like this nc lbmp. I think I can, since the command is finished, I can use this. I can use here just 4444, and the looks to be searchor.htb, searchor.htb, and perfect. So who am I? ID. We can get the SVC shell at this stage. So I would like to check about this further. So if you look into this is the reverse shell command. So to safely encode this special character, it looks like it encodes in base64 and eval cmd ref shell b64, and to safely check the special character for reverse shell command, it looks like there is also additional process to decode and run the bash shell of this. So this looks plus, then it looks like replace plus to encode the plus value, and the main line should be this. It should be like post command and engine is Google, query is eval cmd, which looks to be the related to the reverse shell command, and the like this. So if we also like take this further, proxy intercept on search, we can check this with repeater. So we can find the engine is Google and query is Google, and if we check this again, the engine is Google and the affected vulnerable parameter looks to be query. So using the vulnerable query parameter, we can inject this comment, and then we can finally get to the SVC shell. So I like to elevate the shell and Control Z, and perfect. So we can close this since we get the root shell, SVC shell, and I can close this. So what I want to do is I'd like to run the LinPEAS. So download the LinPEAS and and go to the home file, pwd, and then run the LinPEAS command. So we can check this LinPEAS result. I can close this. So we can find it for 300,000, for 5,000, and MySQL service. And I'm not sure what this is currently, but these local only listeners are open now. And so user with console permission is root and svc. So we can find that we need to do privilege escalation from svc shell. And if you look at this, the 5,000 which is looks accessible from local svc local environment is searchor.htb, and then there is githia.searcher.htb which is looks accessible from 3000 port, and we can find what githia is. uh, hmm, I can just check it. We are committed to delivering solution. So it is the open source self-hosted Git service. So we can find that this is related to Git, and since we identified the admin there, this may be vulnerability may be related to Git. So what I want to do at this stage is I want to check Git related information from this. So we can find that there is like home svc.git config, and var wwf git file as well. So we can check the I think we can also check cat grep git, and let's I think like this. So maybe it worth inspecting the git related file here. So I like to check the opt script. But this looks accessible from the root user, so I can want to check these files. So first of all, I want to check home svc git config file. So this should be lsla cat git config. This looks to be user name called Cody. So potentially we can also check whether there is any information related Cody. Only this. Then we can find that the username is related to Cody. So we can find that we cannot check this now. So var www.app, we can navigate, and we can also cat cd git. We can check related to config information. Oh, so it also says there is like query related information, and this looks to be the password. of the Kodi user. So first of all, we can check whether there is any grep Kodi. There is no Kodi user in the Linux environment. So potentially we can navigate to the GitHub searcher.htb and find whether there is any interesting information we can find. So to do this, sudo by host, we can add GitHub searcher etb. So we can check GitHub and sign in Kodi and this password. We can find that we can access this GitHub website with this, so we can navigate this app.py. This looks to be related to the Flask backend. And this looks to be front end side. So when we check this comment, it looks required password for SVC. But we found that we can find the git identity in svc/git config file, and then this git configuration looks also used for like var wwf for this app as well. So potentially, so the Kodi user and SVC user could be identical, and the password reuse could have been happened here. So we can assume so. So we can use this Kodi user password again. This password. I think we can. We can find that sudo svc user is wrong comments like this. So at this stage, I would like to inspect this. Sudo. So it says usage check of. We can run docker ps, list running docker containers, docker inspect command, full check of commands. So what I want to do is, so I want to run first docker ps and docker inspect and full check of. So we can first run this. There is two images inside, names GitHub and MySQLDB, and we can also check docker inspect. It says format and container name is required, What I want to do is I can just like, it may be related to docker command. So if we search this, we can find the docker document related to docker inspect. So description, return low level information on docker objects. Inspect provides detailed information on constructs controlled by docker. By default, we render result in a JSON array. And we can follow this format, and the instance ID we can use names too. What I want to check is, since like I want to get more information, I like to get this command and docker inspect. I can just like this, and the names githea. Like this, format better. So we can find that there is githea database, name githea, user githea, and password is this. So we can use this for MySQL as well, but I also like to check the password reuse with this password further. But so we can do like sign in, githea, and this password again. It says username or password is incorrect. The password may not have been used, but I also like to check the username related to this password. So I'm going to use Hydra, but instead of prior to doing this, I can inspect this repeater, and I think I sent this on zip console, perhaps. Send repeater. So I'd like to build a Hydra command from here. So I want to use the and I want to find the username related to this password. So select list and usernames and top usernames p, and password is this, and the searcher. And when we check the verb suit, it says post login is the endpoint for this HTTP method. So which will use HTTP form post, and the relevant endpoint is user login, and we can copy and but this I would like to bot password. This will be also passed, and failure statement is username or password is incorrect. Like this, so I can copy and paste and run this. So we can use administrator ID for this again. Perfect. So we can find that issues administrators, and we can find there is the script. So what I would like to check is, so after checking the inspect, we can like find the administrator access, and I would like to check this full check of command. Then something went wrong, so potentially we can check system -check of .py file. This actions, if there is standard error, so it looks running this. So I think at least we need to check this further, but if there is an error, like error message will be output like this, and main try action. So if we check with this further, and arguments looks to be this. I believe action looks to be this full check of docker ps docker inspect, and if this is within this actions array, we can process, and we would like to check the full check of, and the arc list looks to be this, and print run command arc list. So this command will be run, and if we inspect run command, it will be run with the sub process run method, and so this will be running. But what we need to check is that it is specified with the relative path. So an absolute path starts from the root of the file system, such as /opt /script /full checkup.sh. But this is a relative path, so dot means the current working directory. So if we run this in temp inside temp folder with creating malicious full checkup.sh, we can also potentially run this command, and since this file is check the owner of this is root, we can run this as the root user. So what we want, what I like to do is cd temp, and I like to create the malicious full check of command. So we'll create a suid copy of bash, so we can also run this sd. So we can copy the bash file, which can be run as the root user. So what I'm going to do is copy the bin bash file and create the temp root bash and specify this the permission. So for is set suid bit, so we can run this as the we can run this with the permissions of the file owner, which will be the root. So cmp root bash, and so what I'm going to do is I will run this command inside temp folder. Then we can find that there is the file called root bash with the root user root owner, which looks to be expected. And since there is like suid bit, this can also be run from my end as well. Where my id, perfect. So I hope this information is helpful, and see you in the next video.